Hello guys, so this is day 2 of Mental Health Awareness Week, and I'm going to be talking about depression and the different subforms of depression. And if you want to follow Mental Health Awareness Week on any sort of like social media, YouTube, you can probably do it Facebook, Tumblr, whatever, Twitter especially, is use the hashtag MHAW15 or Be Mindful, or hashtag Be Mindful, which is following it, but it's not as much. You won't find out quite as much about it there. So getting straight into it is you've got like when you think or when sort of people say about depression is you've got major depressive disorder, which can be called MDD for major depressive disorder, and that's like the major one that people know about when they when you say depression, but there's different forms to it, and like it doesn't have to be, and like this is something that like I struggle to even comprehend myself, is that to be depressed is you don't have to be depressed 24/7. It just has to take up a majority of your time. I can't remember, but I think it's got to take up about, and this is quite a broad spectrum, but I think it's 60 to 80%. Probably, I think it's like 70 to 80% of your day. But as I say, because I'm not a professional, I don't remember that. So, like, you can go and research it yourself and find out as well. But yeah. 1 in 4 will experience some form of depression, some form of just mental illness as well, at some point in their lifetime. And also, like, any given point of any given year. And, like, the horrible thing about it is, like, mental illness doesn't discriminate, and that sucks. But it doesn't. Like, you see, like, these celebrities, Robin Williams, there was a couple of other people as well. I forget his first name, but you got Seymour Hoffman. Like, you can be wealthy, or you can be, and what people would consider to be living the perfect life, or you can sort of like be like down in the dumps or quite poor, whatever, and you can still have a mental illness because it's a mental illness. That's in your brain. It doesn't matter about external features. It's an internal battle. But there's another subform called, I hope I pronounce this right, dysynthia or dysynthmia or something like that. Dysynthing disorder it can be called. And it affects a small amount of the population, about 2% of the US, and that's according to the National Institute of Mental Health. Generally, it affects women more than men. But I may talk about it in like multiple videos or like in the self-harm video, because a lot of mental illnesses can lead to this, is like suicide, and mental illness in general affects more women than men, but men are more likely to commit suicide, which kind of sucks. But dysynthia is less severe than major depressive disorder, but it lasts longer. To have major depressive disorder, you've got to have the symptoms the majority of the time for at least 2 weeks to be able to get a diagnosis. You probably need it slightly more, but dysynthia is in adults. You got to have the symptoms of a less severe depression, but still have the symptoms for 2 years. Or if you're like a child or an adolescent, is you're only going to have the symptoms for 1 year, a majority of the time. Katie Morden. She is actually a licensed therapist in the state of California. Her 6 signs of depression video, and like obviously, as she says, there's multiple signs of depression, and that's only 6 of them. But like, hopefully that should help you. So I'll link that down below as well. And another subform is you've got seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD. And that's kind of what it says in the name, is it affects you in different seasons. Usually affects people in the winter because there's less sun, and the sun gives us good stuff, like what's usually called like the feel-good or the happy hormone. And like in winter there's less of that, so people are sad or sort of like more lethargic and stuff. And it's more likely that you can be affected from that. I possibly struggle with it, I don't know. But is you're more likely to have it where the climate, the sunlight, or the seasons change fairly regularly, or sort of like quite abruptly. And I'd found like a graph on it, and I can't remember where it is. I've got a source for another point later, and it might be on that. I can't remember. It kind of sucks, but is like near the equator, you're less likely to be affected. But if you live to nearer one of the poles, so like if you're in like Europe or like South America, like the bottom half of South America, South Africa, Australia, Russia, Canada, whatever, those sorts of places, is you're more likely to be affected, which I thought was quite interesting actually. And the thing with depression, and I'll touch on anxiety because I don't think I'm actually talking about it. No, as I'm not really going to be talking about anxiety. I'll be talking about that tomorrow. But it won't be a huge long video. So as I'll just touch on it today, is anxiety is you're anxious or you're scared of what the future will be. But with depression, is you think to yourself that you already know that the future's going to be bad. With anxiety, it's you fear that the future will be bad. So that's sort of like a little side note sort of thing. And 2.6% of the world's population experience depression at some point. I can't remember if it's the world's, but is the source for that. I'm hoping that the graph is on this as well. Is mentalhealth.org.uk. I'll link it down below. Yeah, so where it says like 2.6% of the world's population, no, it's 2.6% of the UK's population. Sorry about that. As many as 9.7% suffer with a mix of depression and anxiety, because the symptoms can overlap quite a lot. I mean, obviously the difference of the symptoms aren't completely the same, but there's similarities, so that's like the most prevalent mental health illness that there is, or that affects people. And again, I'm going to be pushing, because you might have forgot, it's 9.5 minutes in now, is the hashtag for Mental Health Awareness Week is hashtag MHAW15. So go check that out, it's really, really cool. I'd love if you watch most of the videos, or the videos that affect you. So tomorrow I'll be talking about anxiety. But again, I said that won't be a hugely long video. that week, kind of sure. But yeah, have a nice week. I hope that you get involved or want to be involved with this week or next year's Mental Health Awareness Week. Peace.